Good morning, Facebook. This is Sylvia Randolph coming to you this morning with a happy smile on my face. It's a Sunday morning. The weather is changing. The seasons are coming and it's shifted. The air is moving forward, and it's a beautiful day outside. Coming this morning to talk to you a little bit about where I left off yesterday and talking about D.C. Council and giving testimonial for the purpose of housing in the District of Columbia, affordable housing, and maintaining and upkeeping of the shelter system. One of the things definitely this morning that I want to begin to stress and give some important reference to is the fact that I was not just coming off of the hip yesterday. I was not just coming and speaking out of my unknown or whatever, but I was speaking from the point of where I've sat down and I've talked with an economist from the housing or from HUD Housing, when I've sat down and I've talked to a manager from the HUD Housing, when I've sat down and I've spoke with legal counsel and directors of law centers for the homeless, and I've sat and I've talked with all of these very pertinent and specific people who are and have the ability to make change within the concept of what I was discussing, the need for affordable housing and the upkeep and maintenance of our shelter system. And so I wanted to make reference to those things. I wanted to let it be known that I wasn't just talking at the point of just talking, but I was talking for the fact to say, if we do some building, as the economist stated, no one gets hurt by the factor that no one gets housed other than the people that are not housed. The economist states, we get our money. The rental apartment complexes, builders, all those people that are involved in either building new housing and or becoming contractors with housing development, they get paid. They get their money because the government provides them that. That's where that money comes from. However, who actually gets hurt? The people that get hurt are those who don't get the housing because someone fails to make that negotiation, or someone fails to sit down and actually get a contract in place to say, well, this is what we want for our housing, and this is what we can do to have your tax breaks be effective for you and have it be measurable. That's where that comes from. And when I sit down and I talk with the person from HUD Housing, who's one of the managers, one of the head directors of HUD Housing, and I say to him, and he asks me, well, what can I do to help you get housing? It's simple. Begin to house the people. Don't cut off the housing deadline, and don't do things that are going to impede upon a person's ability to get what they need, and that's housing, stable housing. This gentleman knows that I'm in college. I've almost finished with a master's degree, my frame of work and my line of work and what I like to do and what I used to do. And so and now I've heard nothing more back from him. I've called his office and I've gotten no return from anything. But I've let him know that what is the benefactor of housing people? Well, it will lessen the burden factor that the District of Columbia has for having to maintain an individual person. It's burdensome, not on just DC's own financial pocket, but the government's pocket. Not only that, but it provides a person a sense of self-worth. And that's where we need to be today. So when I talk with the legal counsel and I stress to them, I went, I got a contract signed, and here I am with this obligation. And I'm so generous to the fact that the gentleman said, you will not be obligated to this contract until the finances come in. And that's when you'll be obligated to. And he was willing to work with me. This was a housing manager, and he said, I'm willing to work with this program of rapid rehousing. I'm not familiar with it, but I definitely will love to work with it and work with anyone who needs housing. It didn't happen. So what does the law center say? What does this frame of reference go by? Well, I told them, and they said, oh, okay. And I heard nothing back from them as well. So it's not just a matter of DC Council doing what they need to do. It's a matter of a lot of connections and networks being in place and actually coming together to make the purpose of housing people a matter of fact that is doable and successful. And that's what we need to be today. And right now, that's not happening. And so on that note, DC Council, I would like to say to you and to many other councils out there all over the nation who are sitting back discussing what are we going to do, sequestration, cuts, and all this other stuff is happening. Well, I tell you what, you have enough resources right now to house all the people you need to house and get done everything that needs to be done before 2014 to set in place, to implement, and get going a project that will house the people in your community. This is Sylvia Randolph, signing off. Always know, I never come off the hip, and if I do, I'm going to back it up with some very good references. What more reference do we need other than the president's legislative signed bill that says this is the purpose of these funding for housing? What more reason of legal rights do we have to have that says constitutionally, yes, the state is responsible for making sure that everyone is housed? Well, why don't we take away this subjective shelter system process and put a system in place that will house some people? Because constitutionally, a shelter, it's not a house. So, on that note, and for just the civil right of person, the civil stability, the mindset of an individual person, excuse my tongue-tiedness, the mindset of an individual person, all of this together brings about a beautiful community, great family, but most of all, a country that says we care. Have a wonderful day.